On Christmas night, when snow drifted across the wide plains like whispers from an old forgotten winter, the depot sat lonely at the edge of the small town of Red Bluff, its rusty tin roof groaning beneath the wind. The lanterns that hung outside flickered weakly, as though even they were tired of the cold. Inside, on a worn wooden bench, a young schoolteacher named Clara Whitlock sat curled up with her suitcase pressed to her side, her breath fogging in little puffs as she tried to stay awake. She had come to Red Bluff expecting to be picked up by the local school board chairman, who had written her a polite letter promising arrangements for room and board would be made. But hours passed, one train left, then another, and soon the depot had emptied out entirely, leaving only the old telegraph machine clicking occasionally in the back room like a lonely heartbeat. Clara tried calling out once or twice, but the depot master had closed early for the holiday, leaving a chalkboard note saying, "Merry Christmas, home with the family." But Clara had no one here, no home, no family of her own. And now, snow was thickening around the depot platform, wind slicing through the cracks in the windows, making her shiver so deeply her bones ached. She wrapped her coat tighter, whispering to herself that things would be better come morning. Though she didn't believe it, she had used nearly all her savings to travel here, chasing a teaching job that promised stability, a chance to start over after years of drifting between small-town schools that paid too little and expected too much. She reached into her suitcase, pulling out an apple and a stale biscuit, the last bits of food she had. She nibbled slowly, listening to the wind howl outside like a lonely wolf. Hours went by, and the depot groaned, and Clara's eyes stung from exhaustion. Eventually, she lay down on the bench, folding her coat beneath her head, letting sleep tug her away from the cold. Even though she feared freezing before sunrise, she thought of the children she hoped to teach, of the classroom she prayed she'd actually see, and of the letter that told her someone would be waiting. She wanted to believe in people. She wanted to believe in Christmas, but loneliness weighed heavier than her coat, and as she closed her eyes, a silent prayer slipped out. "Please, let someone find me outside." Miles away on the western ridge, a cowboy named Eli Turner was making his way down a narrow trail that cut across the frosted hills. Tall, broad-shouldered, and tired from a long ride home after delivering horses to a ranch across the valley, Eli tugged his coat collar up, muttering to himself about the storm rolling in. His horse, Blaze, snorted irritably at the wind. Eli chuckled softly, patting the gelding's neck. "Just a little longer, boy. Depot ain't far. We'll rest there till this blows over." He didn't plan to stay long, maybe just long enough to warm up before heading back to his ranch, where his brothers were likely sitting by the fire, joking loudly, probably already halfway through the apple pie their mother had baked. Christmas was sacred to Eli, even if it had grown quieter over the years since his father passed. But he still kept the tradition of riding into town on Christmas Eve or Christmas night, delivering what help he could, checking on neighbors, doing what his father always called Heartland duty. When he reached the depot, its lanterns swaying weakly in the wind, Blaze stomped in relief. Eli slid down, stomping snow off his boots, and pushed the depot door open. It creaked loudly, and he paused, listening to the emptiness inside until he heard something soft, a sigh, a whimper, or perhaps just the wind. He stepped farther in, eyes adjusting to the dim light from the single lantern left burning on the wall. Then he saw her, a woman, curled up on the bench like someone abandoned, her coat barely covering her, suitcase at her feet. Her lips were slightly blue, her fingers stiff from cold, and for a long moment, Eli froze, stunned not just by her presence, but by the delicate, exhausted look on her face, as though life had been too heavy for her to carry alone. "Ma'am," he called gently, stepping closer. Clara didn't respond at first. She didn't even seem to breathe. Fear cracked through Eli's chest as he knelt beside her, touching her shoulder lightly. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" She stirred then, eyelashes fluttering, and whispered drowsily, "I'm sorry, I must have fallen asleep. I was waiting." Her voice trailed off as she tried to sit up, wobbling. Eli steadied her instantly. "Careful, you're freezing," he said, noticing how cold her skin felt. "Are you stranded?" Clara nodded weakly. "The school board. Someone was supposed to meet me." She swallowed, embarrassed. No one came. Eli clenched his jaw. Red Bluff might be small, but good people didn't just leave someone out here to freeze alone. Especially not a young woman. Especially not on Christmas night. Well, you're not staying here another minute, he said firmly. Storm's going to get worse. My ranch isn't far. You'll come with me where it's warm. Clara blinked, startled. She looked at the stranger kneeling beside her, a cowboy with warm brown eyes, snow crusted on his coat, looking at her not with pity, but with genuine concern. I don't want to impose, she murmured. You're not imposing. You're surviving. Eli reached for her suitcase before she could argue. Come on, I won't leave you here. Clara hesitated only a moment before letting him help her to her feet. Her legs nearly buckled from cold, but Eli caught her easily, steadying her with gentle strength. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded, guiding her outside where the snow swirled wildly now, stinging her cheeks. Blaze snorted at the newcomer, but Eli calmed him quickly. Easy, boy. She's a friend. He lifted Clara onto the saddle first, making sure she was secure before mounting behind her, one arm around her waist to keep her steady. She felt warmth radiate from him, a stark contrast to the bitter cold that had clawed at her for hours. As they rode through the storm, Clara pressed her gloved hands against her face, fighting tears not of fear but of relief. She had never been rescued before, never been chosen first by anyone. The storm howled, but Eli guided Blaze steadily, leaning close to block the wind from hitting her. You're safe now, he murmured above the wind, though he wasn't sure she heard him. I've got you. When they reached the Turner Ranch, lights glowed warmly through the frosted windows, smoke curling from the chimney. Eli dismounted and helped Clara down carefully. She wobbled again, and he put a hand on her back. Let's get you inside. He opened the door, calling out, Ma. We've got company. His mother, a sturdy woman with gentle eyes, hurried over at once, letting out a soft gasp when she saw Clara's pale face. Oh heavens, Eli. Bring her by the fire. Clara tried to protest, but Mrs. Turner shushed her, guiding her to the warm hearth, wrapping a thick quilt around her shoulders. What were you doing out there alone on a night like this? She asked softly. Clara explained in short, embarrassed breaths how she had been hired as the new teacher, how she had arrived expecting someone to meet her, how the depot had grown colder and quieter until she had fallen asleep. Mrs. Turner frowned deeply. Shameful. No one should leave a young lady alone on Christmas night. Eli stood nearby, arms crossed, jaw still tight. She's staying here until we sort this out. I'll ride into town tomorrow and talk to the board myself. Clara looked up at him, surprised by his certainty. You don't even know me, she whispered. I don't need to know you to do what's right, Eli replied. Mrs. Turner smiled knowingly. That's how his father raised him. Clara warmed gradually, sipping hot tea, feeling strength return to her fingers. She watched Eli remove his coat, shake snow off his hat, and lower himself into a chair across from her. Their eyes met briefly, and something unspoken passed between them, an understanding, fragile but real, born from the wild coincidence of a lonely depot and a cowboy's late-night ride. Hours passed, soft conversation weaving through the fire's crackling. Clara told them about her childhood as an orphan bounced between relatives, about her love for teaching, about the disappointment she had become used to swallowing. Eli shared stories from ranch life, how he grew up with more brothers than chores, how the land shaped him, how he believed that everyone deserved a place to belong. At one point, Clara's voice trembled as she said, I thought no one would come for me. Eli leaned forward slightly, his tone gentle. Sometimes the right people show up exactly when you stop expecting them. The words settled deep within her, warming places the fire couldn't reach. As the night went on, Mrs. Turner insisted Clara take the guest room, fussing over her like a daughter she never had. Clara changed into a warm nightgown Mrs. Turner lent her, and for the first time in a long while, she felt safe, truly safe. Before she went to bed, she peeked into the living room where Eli was stoking the fire. He looked up, offering a small smile. Feeling better? He asked. Clara nodded. Thank you for everything. Eli shrugged lightly. Just doing what anyone should have done. Not everyone would, she whispered. Eli held her gaze for a moment, then spoke softly. Get some rest. Tomorrow'll be better. Clara went to her room, lying beneath quilts that smelled faintly of lavender. But she didn't sleep immediately. Her mind replayed the moment he found her, how his voice had cut through the cold, how his arms had steadied her, how kindness had found her when the world should have turned its back. She whispered into the darkness, "Maybe Christmas still has miracles left." Downstairs, Eli sat staring into the fire, thinking of the young woman with tired eyes and a brave heart. Something about her tugged at him, something unfamiliar yet undeniable. The storm outside raged on, but the house felt warm, alive, changed. And somewhere deep inside them both, threads of fate were quietly stitching together the beginning of a story neither of them expected. As the last embers glowed, Eli stood and looked toward the stairs where Clara had disappeared. "You're safe here," he murmured to the empty room, though he felt as if he were saying it to her still. "And you're not alone anymore." If only he knew just how much those words would come to mean. And as this chapter closes, if you want more heartfelt Western love stories like this, make sure you subscribe to the Heartland Diaries, where every story keeps your heart warm no matter the season.